It's Monday, it's Thursday, August 16th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, show number 791, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our August special for all new and existing GoDaddy customers. Save 20% off your order using promo code GO20 off too. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Hey, folks, just got done eating my favorite dish. My mouth is on fire from some homegrown chili peppers. Talk about that in a minute. You know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey, everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, and I want to give you a very, very warm welcome. Of course, I want to welcome all of our Ohana members. Of course, all of you that are family members, part of the show here. Those of you that have been subscribed, of course, doesn't matter if you're new or old. Welcome to the family of listeners. And, of course, we want to make sure that you take time and come over and check out geeknewscentral.com. Got lots of great content over there. Our bevy of writers putting together great content for you on a daily basis. And, of course, we've got lots of podcasts for you to listen to as well. We've got this show produced every Monday and Thursday night. We've got Saturday Morning Tech every Saturday. I'm in Honolulu. We've got the Gadget Professor, Robot Underpants, the Chrome Show. Lots to choose from. And, of course, you can subscribe directly on the website. You want to get signed up for our newsletter as well. The newsletter really has everything that I'm going to talk about during tonight's show with a link to every article. You can also check out the extended show notes at gncshow.notes.com. That's a place to get those. That's where you go over and get every link later if you didn't get the email. So definitely thanks, everyone, for subscribing and being joining and being part of the family here at Geek News Central. You can always reach me on Twitter at Geek News. You can email me, geeknews@gmail.com, or you can call our hotline. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 619-342-7365. I'll have all those slides up on the video portion here tonight where you can actually get that information on how to contact me. And, of course, if you're listening again, all you got to do is come over to geeknewscentral.com. All the links are there as well. Again, a warm welcome to listeners from around the world. And if you're not watching the show live, which most of you are not because you're fast asleep, depending on where you're at in the country, you can watch the show on the Roku, Boxy, Samsung TV, Samsung Smart TV, and Google TV as well, of course, through 100-plus different devices. So we want to thank you for watching the show later if that's where you may be. We do have a live audio stream going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll find a link to that on GNC as well. And that live stream is in a loop, has all of our shows that are part of the network here. We've got the Gadget Professor, Saturday Morning Tech, and GNC up in rotation. The Robot Underpants is strictly a video show at this point, so we don't put that one into the audio rotation, but you can check that out on the website. Well, I'm going to start right off tonight, and we'll get into some content. I want to tell you a ghost story that happened a week ago today. And I was going to share it with you on the last show, but quite frankly, I kind of forgot to have it in the list of show notes, but I wanted to share anyway. But what I want to do first is I want to take a moment here, and I want to thank one of our sponsors of the show tonight. I tell you, it's been a crazy week here. We're getting ready to do a little staycation, and even though we're going to be staying here in Hawaii, we're going to be away from the house. We're going to be staying at a hotel downtown. And just because I'm there doesn't mean business is going to stop tomorrow. It's going to continue. So this summer, you and your team may be working from different locations, but just because you're away from the office doesn't mean that business stops. And just like me, I recommend GoToMeeting. You can meet online with clients and colleagues from anywhere, and I plan on doing so via the beach. So GoToMeeting by Citrix allows you to collaborate on files and plans online, do sales pitches. We've been doing media deck demonstrations to vendors for CES 2013, and that's been my biggest thing here the last week. And with HD Faces, you just need a webcam. Of course, I got a webcam right here, ever present on my desk. And that webcam is used to basically turn my online meeting into a group HD video conference. And that's really fantastic, and be able to see people's expressions and lifted eyebrows and everything else. It really helps to know when you can insinuate a potential point on a presentation that you may be having. And you can even participate with the HD Faces portion with your iPad, and that's really slick. Now, you can't start the meeting with your iPad, but you can join one, and it's just with the little invite button, and it'll open up the meeting in its normal format, and you'll be able to actually see the people as well. They'll be able to see you. I love GoToMeeting. I've had great experience with it, and it just is an absolute essential piece of my armament and the tools that I use in doing business. Work smarter this summer, and that's really what I'm asking you to do with GoToMeeting with HD Faces. As a listener of this show, you can try it for free for 30 days. Don't wait for this special offer, and this is where it's going to get really easy for you. All you really got to do is go over to GoToMeeting.com, click on the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. Be sure to use that promo code podcast. Again, all you got to do is visit GoToMeeting.com, click on the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. You get that 30-day free trial on me for being a listener of the show. We want to thank GoToMeeting for being a longtime sponsor here at GNC. It is an absolute fantastic tool, and we hope that you'll give it a try. I tell you, I've got to share my lovely wife. I love, really, there's two things that I like the best for a nice hearty meal. And they're both relatively not super good for you. Number one is spaghetti. I love spaghetti and meatballs. Oh my goodness, I could probably eat it every day, and I'd probably weigh 500 pounds. And the second thing is a Thai dish called pad Thai. It's sold at every Thai restaurant on the planet. It's very safe. It's very good. It's noodles, vegetables, little crushed up peanuts on top. And if you are like me and you like it spicy, I always ask for the chopped peppers with fish sauce. Now, some of you are saying fish sauce. Well, it's normally not on the table when you go to a Thai restaurant, but just ask your waitress for the fish sauce with the chili peppers inside. And tonight, I've got a pepper tree. That's kind of been my green thumb type thing. I've been growing peppers, and actually I've got some new pepper packets here that I have been neglecting that I need to get planted. Some seeds that have come in. So, long story short, these things have been coming off in droves, and everyone's so ecstatic about them. I've been giving away almost everything this year to friends, family members, people that I know. So tonight I went out and I pulled 3 or 4 off that were really nice and red, and brought them in and chopped them up. Oh, my nose is still running. So those of you on the video, I apologize because it's I shouldn't have had that right before the show, because it just absolutely is incredible. My daughter says, "Dad, you don't wear a red shirt tonight during the show because you'll look like your face is on fire." And I still feel like my face and mouth is on fire. And matter of fact, I can tell that it is up my, how should I say it, adrenaline level, because the energy level is definitely up. So I guess that's the way to really kick off a show is have some of my hot chili peppers. But I want to share with you what happened here a week ago today. And, I basically did the show. I got wrapped up. And actually, I think I was completely done editing. I think I was actually doing another task. And it was probably around 11 p.m. And for those of you that don't know the studio, and let me see if I can show this on the camera here. Let me bring up a different camera and see if I can direct the camera. For those of you that aren't watching, what I'm doing is I'm going to slew the camera. I got to slew it the other way. In the studio, right behind where the cameras are, there's a sliding glass door. It's literally, if you took a tape measure between here and the sliding glass door, it's like at a maximum maybe 5 feet. So I'm sitting here like I am right now with my face on the screen, and I see a movement, and I look up, and not kidding you, and I'm getting chicken skin already. If you guys can see that, I'm getting chicken skin talking about it. I see this outline of a person in my doorway, and I jumped. I mean, I literally this chair that I'm sitting at went flying back, and I literally, I started to come up, and I didn't get all the way out of my seat before it was gone. But I'm going to tell you, it scared the living crap out of me. I'm not. I'm flipping out about it. And it was everybody else was asleep, and so I get on Facebook, and I put on Facebook, I just saw a ghost. And, people are, how much you been drinking, this whole thing. But you guys know, those of you that have been around here when we were doing this, when was living on historic Fort Island, you guys know about the ghost story. I have to date never, ever seen a ghost. Okay. You guys know I've never seen one. I've had experience of something in the past, but never seen a ghost. So, I told my wife the next morning. She kind of freaks out. She goes through her Japanese thing. It's all outside the house, making sure that's all done. And I didn't feel threatened, but something looked in the room here. And I'm going to tell you, I'm still, right now, the hair standing up on the back of my neck. It flipped me out. Now, I'm all good. I'm all good. But you guys know when we lived on historic Fort Island, my youngest son, who was a toddler at the time, had a friend that he was playing with. His name was Jeffrey the Blue Man. And Jeffrey the Blue Man wasn't so nice. We had, I think there was only one time we felt that my son was threatened well, let me tell you the story first. For those of you that are new and haven't been here for a while, and this is going to take a little time. So if you want to fast forward to the tech stuff, go ahead. But so one night I'm up in the studio and I hear this bang. And so I get up and I walk to and it was kind of late. And I walked and I looked down the stairs and there was a picture that was put up on the wall as a family picture. And it was our most recent family picture. But every picture that I had hung in this house, I'd bought those real nice hooks that the nail kind of goes in sideways and then it has a real nice hook to it. Well, this particular picture had not a metal strap, but it had one of those string straps or a twine strap. This painting was on the ground right up against the wall, just like someone had picked it up, got it off its hook, and dropped it. It didn't tip over, didn't break the glass, but it landed square. So, okay, I can kind of wave that one off. Maybe someone bumped the picture or whatever. Then this whole thing started with Jeffrey the Blue Man. And you remember, our house was between the Arizona and the USS, oh boy, I'm going to pull a brain fart here. Oh boy. Now I'm really sucking because I can't remember the name of the other ship that sunk. It was another battleship. New Jersey, I believe. I apologize if I'm wrong. I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, between our house and the Arizona and that sunken ship, you could almost draw a straight line. It'd almost go through the two houses that were adjacent to each other. And so Blue Man, being Navy sailors, wore blue dungarees. And if the person drowned, we'd have a shade of blue. Well, my son was talking about this blue man named Jeffrey. And one day my wife was talking to my son, and he was at the top of the stairways, and he was coming up and down the stairways just fine. And all of a sudden, he just started to go forward like someone was pushing on him. And she was able to basically catch him before he had come too far. And she got really freaked out. And she's like, why did you do that? She's, Mommy, someone pushed me. And so this goes on, and we're getting freaked out, right? So at the time, Chris Angel, Mind Freak, was big on TV. And the kids were already to bed, and my wife and I were down in the living room. We had a big screen TV on, and doors were closed. This place had central air. And on the door leading to the closet was a chime. And it basically hung there, and anytime anyone opened that closet door up, a jingle, 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 it just make a little tinkle noise because it got jiggled. Well, again, everything's closed. Her and I just sitting there, and the Chris Angel was getting ready to do that trick where he was going to be buried alive, and so I'm kind of talking about that a little bit. And I says, honey, a lot of the folks that have done this have died in the very instant I said the word died. It was like someone had reached up and slapped that chime. I mean, like whole fan slapped it, and it was da-ding, 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 da-dong, da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. And we like flipped. I mean, seriously, it still gives me the hibby-jibbies now to talk about it. But I said right then, we need to call priests, call in Hawaiian. We did the whole 9 yards. We had a priest come in. We had a local Hawaiian lady come in that was used to this kind of stuff and do a whole bunch of stuff in the house. And I'm serious. It was like full on. It was an emergency order. I'm like, come to the house now. And basically, we were told, just talk to the entity and tell them this is our house. We're living here. At the time I was in the Navy. We're not here to hurt you. It's not a permanent thing. We appreciate if you knew. So we talked to Jeffrey, who I assume was the ghost that was doing this, and it kind of cleared up. So when this happened a week ago today, I basically, after I got my wits about me, I basically stood up and I went over to the sliding glass door and I said, hey, you can't come in. This is our house. Move on. Nothing to see here. We don't want you here, blah, blah, blah. And so far, nothing else as weird has happened here at the house. Now, I'm going to tell you, I thought someone was standing in the door. We've got motion detector lights in the back, so if anything moves back there, the lights click on. This was tripped me out big time. And, of course, the motion detector lights didn't go off or nothing. And so anyway, that's my ghost story. And I know a number of you had waited for me to talk about this, but I don't want it to happen again. I really, really don't. But I'm going to tell you, if we have someone come to the back door again, I'll be sure to tell you guys all about it because it flipped me out in a big, big way. So anyway, enough on that. We've already taken a lot of time talking about this. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about tech tonight. Let me look at my list here. Any of you got a Mac Pro with a RAID card in it? My Mac Pro RAID battery's dead. Has anybody ever replaced one of those? I guess you got to call Apple Care and get a new battery sent out and stuff. Have any of you had to deal with that? I didn't take two look at it, but I definitely got a battery to replace and won't recharge anymore. So if anybody have had to deal with this, let me know. Also, I'm working on a consulting contract. It's been in work for a little while here. So hopefully you get that signed. If it does, I'm going to be back traveling a little bit here in the next month or so. But just waiting for the shoe to drop on that. We'll keep you advised on that. Again, don't forget about the live audio stream that's going on at Geek News Central. It's available 24/7 for you to listen to the show if you're not able to get access to download the show. What else? There will be no Saturday morning tech this week. We will not have one this Saturday due to our little staycation that we're going to have. And again, our CES 2013 Media Kit is ready. If you think your company would like to have some fantastic exposure, really an unbelievable bond exposure from our coverage there, drop me a line and we'll get that out to you. And with that being said, I want to take just a moment here again, and I want to thank one of our sponsors of the show. Long time, GoDaddy.com has been a huge sponsor here at Geek News Central. They have been with us thick and thin. And I'm going to tell you, they've got a great deal for you this month. This is really, I'm trying to get deals put together that are not available generally to the general public anywhere else. So what I've got is a special offer for all customers, new or old, where you can save 20% off your order by using the promo code GO20OFF2. And this is a huge deal. This really is. I've been able to save a bunch of money with this code on stuff that I would order that I would normally not get a renewal code on. And the savings have been pretty remarkable. I actually put a blog post up about it earlier in the month. But of course, I've got a lot of other codes too that you can use for a variety of different occasions. You can come over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And there's a code there really for every occasion, 25% off fourth generation hosting plans. I've got 799.coms, 849.com renewals. I've got straight cash off on orders of at least 30, 50, or $75, whereas you can get as much as $20 off an order. And I've got SSL certificates for $12.99, which is an incredible price. So definitely check out all the codes I have for you and save some money over at GoDaddy.com. I just registered a brand new domain, and matter of fact, it's not going anywhere yet. I just registered. I'm actually going to. You guys know I've done everything about tech. Everything that I've done digitally has been tech related, and I've been watching with interest something going on here in Hawaii. It's basically there's a rail system that's going to be going in, and I've got really a lot of mixed feelings about the rail. Half my brain says, "Oh, this is going to be a great project," and the other half of my brain says, "Oh my God, how much is it going to cost?" And as they're starting to build it close to where I live, so I've registered a website called HawaiiRailNews.com. I can't believe the domain was actually available. So I'm going to be doing like just some, like going by where they're doing construction, taking some video, talking about it. And as this thing goes on, this thing is going to be going on for 10 years. It should give me 10 years of great local content to cover. I know for the 99% of you that don't listen to, that live outside Hawaii, you probably could care less. But, might give me a chance to throw some other stuff in there that you haven't seen of Hawaii before. So that site is not even, it's basically the domain is bought and that's it. So we'll be putting a site up for it and be just basically trying to give information out. And as I've been thinking, my wife says, "You're not going to get all political on it, are you?" I said, No. I'm going to be an equal opportunity basher. So I'm going to, and she kind of looks at me kind of funny, like, "What do you mean by that, equal opportunity basher?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to try to cover everything. I'm going to, try to cover the positives and the negatives and try to give a layman's view of this thing so that we can, have a little different perspective and do it new media style. We'll see how it goes. And it's really kind of a big political issue right now in Hawaii. So I'm going to try to keep it non-political. That's the goal. And I think that way to have the biggest appeal. So talk about that later when it gets up. So if any of you even could care or care less. But anyway, that's it on that. Let's go ahead and get into the full-blown tech show. And I had to tell you the ghost story. That was just, one of those things that just happens that you have to share. And, you guys are part of the family here. So, I'm not afraid to share the weird crap that goes on around here. Hawaii is so, and I don't know what the word the Hawaiians use, but there's a lot of history here, and you just have to go with the flow. You really do. But I do want to talk just a little bit. I've been promoting the Insider program here at Geek News Central for a while, and I've been watching what other sites are offering, what they're doing. And, I am not a superstar in the blogging space. I'm an entity in the podcasting space, along with many thousands of other folks that are creating great content. So I'm just trying to look at where we can fill a niche for the Insider thing. And I always thought, well, if someone comes to, if they're an insider, we can get time one-on-one together if I'm in the mainland. But I was just trying to come up with different ways. But Tech Dirt's been doing some cool stuff, and they're approaching. It's a velvet rope approach to media. In other words, they're making a distinct class of supporters, and then those that just come to the website. And some of the stuff they're doing is pretty cool. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with it because I don't think it would work for this show. For example, one of the things they do is as they're writing posts, they're available to their supporters as much as 2 hours before it actually goes up on the website. And I don't, they're obviously a very heavily followed website, so it makes a lot of sense for that. I don't know if that makes sense for Geek News Central. I don't see delaying the podcast because the content is already time sensitive and has an expiration date. So I don't want to delay the show going out to those that are, the difference in classes, because we're already advertiser supported, but we're always thought about trying to shift a little bit to a non-subscriber or advertiser-supported model as time went on, and it's obviously proving to be difficult. So I'm like trying to look at different ways we could do it. One thing that they said, one thing at Tech Dirt says is, hey, if you're a company that don't like our content and how we go after you for $100 million, we'll quit publishing for a year. So, and that's pretty crazy. Or they said, if we'll not write for one day if you give us $1 million. We definitely don't have that scale to demand that kind of crazy money. And obviously it defeats the purpose, with new media. If you're not online kicking it every 2 or 3 days, you're done. You're all going to go somewhere else. You care less. So it doesn't make any sense to have that kind of an offer. So I guess what I'm looking for all of you is to start providing some, what should we do to take things to the next level? What resonates with you? And, what would be an added value that would keep you as a insider and contribute to $5, $10, or $25 a month? What would be that key? What would be that thing? And I'd love to hear your feedback. Email me here, geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline, 619-342-7365. But anyway, I have this article on Tech Dirt on what they do and some of the stuff they've set up, and it's kind of innovative for sure. Now, one thing I was reading over on Dave Weiner's site at scripting.com, he says, the web is socialist, but it's not a family. I'm thinking, I don't know if I agree with that. But he says in his opening comment here, says, a few weeks ago, I openly asked Fred Wilson a serious question. It's been on my mind ever since I started writing on the net and encouraging others to do so. He says, what happens to all this stuff when the servers disappear? So Dave has some context with that. I'm not going to go into his full story, but what he's really getting at here is what happens 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now when Twitter is no longer the cool cat and they go away. What happens 5, 10, or 15 or 20 years when Facebook is no longer the cool cat and it goes away? All this time and energy and data that you have put into those sites is going to essentially evaporate. You're not going to be able to get that content out. So if you are living your life on Twitter and on Facebook and not on a property that you own, not on your own blog. Now, I'm not saying Facebook's going to go away in 20 years, but 20 years is a long time, right? But, you've already spent how many years now putting information, conversations, stories, putting stuff out there that is locked into Facebook. Now, look at my timeline. Let me bring up and see what they show on my time. So I've been on Facebook since 2005. And if I go to 2005, I go to the timeline, there's information in here that, talks about all kinds of stuff. And it goes way back. So the question is on that timeline, is that stuff locked in there? Stuff I put on Twitter is locked in there. Does it matter? I don't know. Because is it just conversation? But some of you invested a lot more into your standings in these sites. So what happens, as Dave says, is when the servers are turned off. That's one of the reasons why I've tried to keep a central location where I can share information on my own site, that if it's important, I have it there. And I have a couple other sites too that I think where I put important stuff, and some private sites where my kids can put stuff. And, so we have this, and really to keep it up is we have to pay the server bill. But it's also in a format where I can pull it off and make it digitally available and archive it. So what happens when they turn the servers off? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but something to really think about. That's a bigger question about where we are on the web. And I want you guys to think about as we talk about different sites and these cool things that are coming out, and where do you really want to invest your time, and can you trust these companies to be there for the long haul? Now, related to that is today Twitter announced their new API, their 1.1 API. Oh man, I told you. Now, you remember I was a big proponent of this app.net. Twitter today put the screws to developers. And this is going to be bad. So if you have a client that you're using, it's like Tweetbot, Tweetcaster, Seismic, Ubersocial, Plume, Twitterific, those clients on their new policies, they're done. they're probably going to just go down in a burning quagmire. Applications that are probably okay are applications like Hootsuite, Favestar, Storify. Those are probably okay. And of course, the ones that are okay is TweetDeck, owned by Twitter. They're limiting the number of calls they can make to the API to only 60 an hour. They can't make, 720 an hour. They can't touch the API and get new updates only once a minute. They're limited to 100,000 user accounts they're connecting. They're not going to be able to grow. So basically, Twitter is controlling the number of users these apps can have. They don't want them to build and get groundswell. So what they're trying to do here is, one guy says, and I love this quote. Let me bring this quote up if I can. Let me find it here. Doggone it! I hope I didn't have this one in the stack that I wasn't going to share. Basically, the guy said in a tweet that Twitter has more controls than North Korea does, and so these developers are just torqued. Display guidelines. They're setting up stuff how things have to be displayed in apps, and they're giving folks 6 months to wean and to change or be locked out. So, again, applications serve a large number of users, more than 100,000. Too bad. You're done. You can't grow beyond that. So Twitter has basically pointed a gun at all these developers that helped them grow, and not pointed a gun. They stuck up their middle finger. And that's what they did. Twitter has stuck up their middle finger to their developers and say, we don't need you anymore. Go away. And how long before they start adjusting the user's functionality? And so they have not so subtly suggested developers go find something else to do. And with these new rules, they've locked them down. And this is I'm sure there's smoke coming out of these developers' ears. And so longliveapp.net. I don't know if you guys understand the seriousness of this, but basically Twitter says we want control. We don't want these third-party developers. Millions of dollars in invested in companies based upon their original API. And now they're locked up. They're done. They're done. And no one's going to develop for this. They're not. They will not. I think this, mark my words, is the start of big challenges for Twitter. I think they've grown too big for their britches, and they're going to be in trouble. Time will tell on this one. But pretty sad state of affairs. It really is. Speaking of which, you want to tweet me about this, tweet me at Geek News. And let me know what you think about this, or email me at geeknews at gmail.com. And hopefully soon app.net when they open that up to the public, if they do. All right, let's talk about Apple a little bit. Apple's rumored set-top box. Yes, this is the newest thing. Apple's rumored to be building a set-top box similar to a DVR. And Apple wants users of the box to be able to watch any shows at any time via the internet. And this would allow them to begin watching shows even after they had begun airing. In conjunction, Apple wants viewers to have access to all television episodes of a current season instead of just the last few. The interface is said to resemble the icons of the iPad. One could also reference the slightly ignited icons of the current Apple TV. Social features like sharing via Twitter and others may be supported on the device as well. And they're saying the interface is going to basically be iPad-like. So in other words, what you control it with. So that's kind of the rumor on the street. And the Wall Street Journal had a good piece on this today talking about it as well. So they want sharing full on demand. And they're proposing, supposedly, giving viewers the ability to start any show, again, at any time. Having a DVR, basically, where the media is in the cloud. Of course, I'm sure that means apps and a whole bunch of other stuff. So the word is they've been talking to major cable operators, but cable operators are not at all real kind of like, because here's the deal. This control of the television space is so incredibly controlled that they should be scared. I'm sure they're scared to death of Apple. And Apple has to have cable operators' rights in order for this box to be deployed. And they're saying they may be negotiating directly with the media companies over other features, such as new ways of offering past seasons of shows and so forth. So lots of hurdles remain, and we'll see where they go with this. I hope they full speed ahead and bring the TV to market. I hope it's truly a TV and not a box. That would make a lot more sense. But a box is easier to deploy than a TV. All right, let's move on here. Over on TechCrunch, if you live in New York City, starting to be some options for you and getting package delivered. There is a new, how come I said paste and search? It should have said paste and go. There's a Y Combinator backed buffer box. It basically is a box where they can deliver products to. And they're working with different vendors outside of Amazon to get the ability for you to have package delivered to the buffer box. And then you could pick up versus having it not delivered to your home and getting the dreaded missed you type of tag that so many of us get. So a buffer box is a potentially new service that's going to be coming at least to the New York area initially. And they're going to be working with UPS, FedEx, USPS, and trying to get them on board and supporting it as well. Let's be honest. The UPS driver would rather go to one location and drop 25 boxes off than make 25 separate stops. Those UPS drivers, man, they work like mad dogs. They really, really do. There's also a new app out there called Boxfish. Boxfish is a new TV guide iPad app, and they say it's like crack for news junkies. So if you ever wanted to know exactly which TV network is talking about a certain topic, Boxfish new iPad app has you covered. The company indexes the closed captioning data from 3,600 TV stations in real time and prevents it in a Twitter-like fashion. And looking at the interface on this is pretty cool. And they got lots of information here. So if you're looking to follow a certain story, this will give you a tipper, and you'll be able to basically remote control to it. So this is pretty smart. And again, you can sync this with a TiVo or DirecTV to help your system change channels when you want to auto-tune to a conversation. This would, ladies, let the fellas get this. You know, you got a fella that's a big sports fan, and he wants to hear everyone talk about his particular team. Anytime that team is mentioned, the TV channel would automatically switch. Holy smokes, would it drive you crazy or what? Sounds to me like a dream. So Boxfish new TV guide iPad app, definitely pick it out and the iPad store and give it a try. A little stat came out that 20% of Ustream's viewers are coming from mobile devices. So that's cool. So a lot of people are watching Ustream on their mobile apps, whether it be an iPad or on an Android device or something. So very, very cool. And so if you're watching us, not watching us right now on Ustream because we're not up, but this is pretty awesome. And Ustream has seen some growth. Ustream has seen the number of broadcasters pay for the site's pro broadcasting service increase by 170% since June of 2011, and subscriber revenue grew 290% during that time as well. So anyway, that's pretty cool. And so Ustream is still rocking it here. All right, let me talk about my HD Skype podcasting solution. Those of you that have watched Saturday Morning Tech have seen it in action. But I've gotten many demands over many months for me to really lay out how the actual new Skype system works. And I've got an article that basically draws it out in great detail and shows how the thing is all interconnected so that someone that's wanting to put one together could do so. I got the pricing of all the items. And of course, there's alternative ways to make the video get on the master recording. But as you guys know, I can hot punch in a one of the actual channels, real easy. But that of course, this article should give folks the formula they need to build their own. And this is the solution I have currently with the Mac Mini, and give you an idea on how that's hooked up. So I have that obviously up in the show notes for you to check out. Another article that was written up on Geek News Central was written up by KL, talking about GLIP. And boy, this particular article has garnered a lot of comments and a lot of tweets. So GLIP is a service that allows you to create a one-time email. And this is kind of an interesting deal. So you can set it and forget it. If you just want to give an address to someone, but you're worried about being on some spammer's email list, this is the way to use it. And you can use the mobile web app for creating a cloaked email address. And this is probably good for using like Craigslist or something like that. So I have a link up in the show notes for you to check this article out, but definitely check out GLIP. I've been getting a lot of feedback on this particular article. Also, another article that was written by KL is talking about the Gmail, basically Google search for Gmail, and this is kind of scary. Today, when KL opened up the Google search page, you noticed that on the right-hand side of the page there were the words Gmail results. And this is basically the ability to search your Gmail at the same time you're searching for a Google result. And a little unnerving. And there's a way to shut this off. She gives you instructions how to do that. And talking about how to keep your email private. And, basically what the deal here is your kids sit down and you're logged into Gmail and they do a Google search. They're going to be searching your email at the same time. So I have the link up there in the show notes that shows you how to go through and shut that off if you don't want it. And it kind of unnerves me. I'm gonna make sure it's turned off. But KL did a great write-up on this. Or if you feel you have the chops, Google has been teasing hackers with a new reward. Up to this point, they've been basically saying if you find a major issue with Chrome, we'll give you up to $1 million. Now, Google is teasing hackers with $2 million in prizes, announcing the Pawn and 2 exploit competition. So basically, they're offering up to $2 million in rewards. Bugging out the browser by exploiting its own code wins the largest reward, a cool $60,000. And enlisting the help of WebKit or Windows kernel bug makes you eligible for a $50,000 reward. And non-Chrome exploits that rely on a bug in Flash or driver are worth up to $40,000. So if you feel you got the chops to do this, you want to try to hack Chrome, they got $2 million out there for the taking. So I am sure the black hats that are, that do this on a day in and day out basis, that's quite the financial reward to be able to go out and basically pawn Chrome. All right, in a bit of news that we were kind of expecting, and this one here is going to irritate many of us, is that regulators have okayed Verizon's $3.9 billion bid to buy basically some cable spectrum. And the Justice Department has given the green light to the deal between Verizon and a consortium of cable companies to move forward on swapping wireless spectrum. Now, this has caused a lot of regulatory input, but essentially this negotiated settlement is one where Verizon is going to have to give up a little to get a lot. And, this is something I have to really, this is to the point where Verizon now is going to have a huge monopoly on a certain spectrum of bandwidth. And, they're not going out and spending $3.9 billion for peanuts. They're buying very valuable wireless, basically an advanced wireless block of RF spectrum. So the FCC did say they didn't like the fact that Verizon, which already owns the 20 megahertz of the AWS spectrum, would get its hands on an additional 20 megahertz. And so they're going to have to give up some stuff to some competitors. But we talked about this on a previous show. And now, essentially they're going to be king of the hill when it comes to this spectrum. And I'm sure this is going to make these small local carriers very, very nervous. But they are going to have to give up some spectrum to some of these local providers. But, these types of deals never seem to work out for the consumer. They always seem to go more towards the people doing the deal, and with the Justice Department not putting a lot of hooks into this. I mean, when they do put hooks into it, it doesn't matter anyway. They get away with doing what they want to do. So, but they've acted not in good faith in the past, so it makes you really wonder what the goal here is. Because they could really, because the same rules are not going to apply to this new block of spectrum. Remember, the block of spectrum they have that they got before had to be open, quote unquote, and that's why they got fined recently. But this new spectrum, they don't have to follow the same rules, and there's going to be a blurring of the lines there. So we'll see what happens with this. But the wireless folks and the cable operators are getting in bed heavy. And I don't know if that's such a good thing, to be honest with you. All right, if you're a big fan of Google Play, they have gift cards now. They're available online, $10 and $25 flavors. So definitely check that out over at AndroidCentral.com. Also, people are building all kinds of cool little tools to tie into Twitter feeds. The folks over at Engadget have a link to a do-it-yourself type of kit that basically will read your Twitter feed so you don't have to. And watch the video. This thing is hooked up to the Ethernet, ties into your Twitter account, and every time there's a tweet, it basically says, it reads the tweet to you. And as many people as I've got in my Twitter feed, it would get a little annoying real quick. About every 2 seconds, there would be or even less, there'd be a new tweet. So, but Adreno-based social chatter reads your Twitter feed so you don't have to. Watch the video. They gave the instructions on how to build this, so it might be a nice little do-it-yourself type of kit to build out on a weekend project. Want to welcome Spitballs and HQ Radio to the chat room. Thanks for coming out, guys, tonight. And you missed a couple of good ones earlier. We're talking about the ghost story and some other stuff, so you'll have to definitely catch the replay at the beginning of the show. All right, Square has, Square is a fantastic service. I have signed up for a Square merchant account, and really all it is just a little credit card reader. Plugs into your iPhone or your iPad, launches the app. People you have a predestined charges, or you can have basically input the amount of the charge, swipe person's card, they sign it off, and basically it cost me 2.75% of the transaction. So not bad. On a $100 charge, I get charged $2.75. On a normal credit card service I had before, I was paying between 4% and 6%. So it's just really a great deal. But what they've done is they're coming out with a new flat rate payment plan for those businesses that charge less than $250,000 a year. So the way it works out is if you pay the $275 a month, it reduces the amount of the transaction to like 1.75%, which is incredible. So deal that makes most sense for businesses handling more than $120,000 a year through the reader. And but not more than 200. Well, once you go over 250, they revert back to the 2.75%. So this is huge. I think this is a win-win for a lot of companies that are doing a lot of swipe transactions. Again, this is not for e-commerce sites. I wish they would get into that. But this is strictly for businesses that have to swipe a card, a restaurant, or so forth. But a great way to save money if you're doing enough volume to justify it. And save a percent. A percent sometimes, folks, is in a business is the difference between success and bankruptcy. Quite literally, a percent could make the big difference on that. All right, this next article, man, this one steams me quite a bit. But a judge has ruled that users can share a friend's profile with a federal agency. Now, this is not backdoor access the FBI has been pushing for, but U.S. District Judge William Paul III has ruled that meaning the FBI, and other law enforcement agencies are able now to view a Facebook profile if one of your friends, or view your Facebook profile if one of your friends gives them access to. All they have to do is just, yeah, you can come look at the profile. And so this is an interesting move here. So if you're doing anything illegal and you have any friends on Facebook, your friends can be enticed by the FBI to let them look at your profile and maybe collecting the information that they want. Now, if the FBI and law enforcement can do that, what will be next? Will employers be telling your friends, I want to see your face, I want to see my employee's Facebook profile through you? Is that what's next? I don't know. But this is a practice that has been ruled constitutional. So this is not like a phone wiretap. This is a practice again that another little digital rules being made up on the fly. This one may end up in front of an appeals court before it's all over. Hey, did you know that if you delete a photo on Facebook, it hasn't been deleting? Well, I guess Facebook is really, truly deleting files now when you delete them. So this has been going on for a couple of years. So if you've got some embarrassing photos up on Facebook, you now can kill them, and they really die and go away. Those of you that are space buffs, those of you that play around in the spectrum, I sometimes I read space articles and it make my brain hurt. But a cool one that was out today on space.com was talking about the sun's strange shape. And they've been looking at the sun for the last couple of years with some of these observatories. They've come up with some, basically, the sun's not round, believe it or not. Of course, you wouldn't be able to see that from the naked eye, but it's a little fatter in certain areas, and it doesn't change with sunspots. They've determined that. So they've got a pretty cool article up. Of course, no real picture or model of how the sun is actually shaped, but this is they go into quite some detail on how the actual what the actual shape of the sun is. And another article that hurt my brain a little bit, and this is a photo that came off the Hubble, it's a photo showing star clusters colliding. And they've been able to determine basically what's going on here with a newer and an older star cluster. And they talk about these star-making factories out there and these big gas clouds. And, a lot of stuff that I go, I don't understand how that works. And I don't think scientists sometimes do either. I think they make a lot of crap up. But and that's probably not fair. But, there's just so much weird stuff that goes off that's happening in outer space. It just, it's pretty technical. And you think about the sun, all right? Just think about the sun, okay? And what it is able to do. And then you look at a star cluster that's like being shown up on the screen right now, and it's nothing but a huge conglomeration of stars in this really tight and woven area, which is actually in a lot of space. But you think about that and you're like, okay, how did those things really form? How are stars created? And it's pretty amazing stuff. And quite honest with you, way beyond my knowledge of astronomy and what happens out there. But some pretty cool stuff. They're talking about what's going on in this specific star cluster that has them real excited about gravitational forces and how they're being affected upon each cluster of stars. So, and talking about how stars are shot out because of gravitational issues. It's just bizarre, some of the stuff. So a link will be up in the show notes on this. And it's a topic that hurts, or most of us can understand on our wallet. The FCC say the price of expanded basic TV is up about 5.4% this year. So be watching your cable bill. If your cable bill hasn't already went up, it's probably will be at the beginning of the year, but they're saying that the cable prices countrywide has went up about between 5.4 and 5.7%, adding to your monthly or yearly bill by about $60. So every little penny adds up. Over on torrentfreak.com, switching gears here, Movie Studios compiled a pretty amazing dossier on the gentleman they just sent to jail. The Hollywood-backed Federation Against Copyright Theft was the driving force behind the 4-year jail term of the Surf the Channel owner, Anton Vickerman. and it goes through what they were able to find out. He's in the UK, and he's sitting in a jail in the UK for the next 4 years. But they went after his financial records and accounts, and it's amazing what they were able to get just by asking different groups and organizations without any type of a warrant. But there's this group called FACT. This Federation Against Copyright Theft, that was able to get all kinds of incredible information. Boy, I just blew that. All kinds of incredible information on this guy, his mortgage payment, his credit card accounts, where he worked, how much he was making in his work, on and on and on and on. Different types of financial transactions that he's made. Incredible. And I think, wow, they were able to get all this information just by asking. And they show some of the emails that were used to actually they just asked for the information and got it. So I have the link up in the show notes on that. Hey, uTorrent has made ads optional following user revolt. So, of course, BitTorrent Incorporated, the makers of uTorrent, is backpedaling now. And I understand what they're trying to do here. They're trying to figure a way to stay in business, and they had advertising supported torrents, and people were screaming about it, and so people now can turn those off. So I think the key here is, if folks want the BitTorrent space to be advanced, they should support BitTorrent. Look at all the free media they're getting. And then they're going to complain about the peer-to-peer client having ads on it. I think it's a little hypocritical, to be honest with you. But someone says, absolute disgrace. uTorrent used to be an excellent lightweight client with some great features. Now it's just a bloated and buggy piece of crap, which is now going to be bundled with adware. Well, hello? You want to give some money to uTorrent? People got to understand. Doing this stuff is expensive. Paying employees, salary, benefits. Oh, yes, benefits. All this stuff is expensive, and you have to make some money somehow. I really think this is, what are most people using uTorrent for? Let's just be straight up. They're getting movies, music, all the stuff that the RIAA is pissed off about, and the MPAA. And then uTorrent's put together this fantastic protocol that allows them to, basically move files around efficiently. And they have software to do that. And then you're getting that for free, and then people are getting pissed off because they're running ads on the software. Please. If people are willing to throw them $25 a year or something, that's one thing. But just crying about no ads on the app? Well, at the same point, I guess it goes par for the course, right? They're downloading free movies, and they don't want to pay for anything. Something is what happens when the servers are turned off, folks. This is I pay for what I use. I really do, and pay for what I view and listen to. So, pretty incredible. All right, let's go look over to New Zealand. Kim.com, the court is ruling, must be allowed to see FBI evidence against him. He said the bid to have Kim.com extradited to the United States suffered a really big setback for the U.S. today. The judge upheld an earlier decision and ordered the United States to reveal evidence they are relying on to have .com and Associates shipped to the United States, including details of covert operation and confidential discussions with rights holders. The United States is never going to give them that, because you know what's going to happen as soon as Kim.com gets this stuff? It's all going to be on the web. Megalopolis, they have a right to see the case being built against them, but the United States insisted that they have no right of disclosure exist. The judge disagreed. So what is the United States going to say? All records obtained or created in connection with the covert operation are taken by agents involved in the investigation related to these proceedings and transacting and uploading, downloading data files on the Megalo website. All records of information and or materials provided or obtained by the investigative or prosecuting agencies by an investigating and or prosecuting agencies, in this case from holders and or owners of copyright interests, evidence against alleged infringement of their copyright or complaining of such infringement, all that paperwork, all records and materials related to communications between copyright holders and Mega Upload. This is huge. It's a huge, huge, huge win for Kim.com. And we'll see where this goes. But, this is upholding the original order that he was be given this stuff. The judge, in my view, there must be fairness in the hearing and balance must be struck. Otherwise, the record of case becomes dominantly virtual to the exclusion of everything else and places the extradition process in danger of becoming an administrative one rather than a judicial one. Wow. So we'll see where this leads. But U.S. has to give up the juice and have to give up the information. This should be some cool. If the United States gives this up, this should be the mother lode. We'll see what all the rights holders say. Can you imagine the correspondence? We'll see how cozy the rights holders have been with law enforcement. If they actually release all this information, he's going to put it up online. It's going to make a month's worth of news in itself. The Pirate Bay and ISO Hunt have responded to Google's search result punishment, and they're not happy with them, but they say, oh, well, people will just come to our site directly instead of searching for stuff on Google. It's probably true. How many of you use Clout? Well, the Clout has been rebranded and logarithmed, I guess. So the new Clout, a warmer, fuzzier bottom line in your online reputation. I think I have a 67. I guess I don't pay too much attention to Clout. Some people are bragging about their 80 that they have or their 82. But I guess the president went up to a 99 and Bieber went down to a 92 or something like that. So anyway, there was some change up in the scores, and I don't really know what it means, to be honest with you. I've never watched how it really works. Anonymous has claimed to have hacked Sony again. Anonymous claimed a new attack on Sony PlayStation Network, and this time around it seems it's managed to hack nearly 10 million user accounts. So, wow, this is big. If they got through again, it's crazy. But as a proof of the hack, they dumped more than 3 credentials online in the form of a pastebin post. So Sony has some explaining to do if this is the real deal. We talked about Trapwire a little bit on the last show, and boy, I tell you, this Trapwire thing is turning to be out a little bit curious on how it's being used. According to the article, and see if this actually, come on, baby, load up. The site is not, this is over on RT.com, and they must be getting hit hard because the site doesn't want to load. And I'll give it a minute to load here, but it says in the headline, Trapwire tied to White House, Scotland Yard, MI5, and others. And this is from hacked email that it got from Stat4. So basically, they say that this is being used. Why would the White House need internally mean an intelligence system? You'd think that the Secret Service would. But this thing, I guess, looks at all kinds of different cameras and activity going on and supposed to build a case on where crime is happening. At least that was how it was described before. So anyway, I'll have the link up in the show notes on that. But it looks like this group is getting a lot more. This software is getting a lot more attention than other different types of collection software that apparently is out there. At least when they got hacked, they got owned, and the information's on the street, probably to the discontent of others. And this is the statement of the day. Check this out. So this is what the judge said to Apple. Judge says, Apple, you're smoking crack with your giant witness list. Okay. Tempers boiled over in court this morning when the judge in a case between Apple and Samsung flat out yelling at Apple for trying to book too many witnesses in its last few hours. Now, these guys are all under a timeline, and The judge says, and this is a lady. Her name is Judge Lucy Coe, and she says, "I mean, come on, 75 pages, 75 pages. You want me to do an order in 75 pages? And unless you're smoking crack, you know these witnesses aren't going to be called when you have less than 4 hours." The Apple lawyer said, "Your Honor, I can assure you, I'm not smoking crack." So it is pretty incredible. This judge is basically smacking him left and right, and the comments come as both sides are crunch for time. Samsung is down to its last hour and a half with Apple, and Apple has 6.5 hours left as it uses its time to cross-examine Samsung witness and bring up its own experts to rebut some of Samsung's claims. After that, the two companies get 2 hours for their closing arguments, and the judges threaten to shorten that if they keep filing more paperwork. So this thing is ugly. I hope they get all done. And the judge basically says, "All right, you," and of course, I'm sure this is the jury will get to choose this, but I hope the judge comes up and says, "All right, you give me $1 and you give me $1," and basically she hands the dollar to Samsung and hands the dollar to Apple and says, "Okay, you're done. That's your damages." That would be classic, and I would send a message for these patent lawsuits. They have got to stop. All right, Curiosity, boy, sending back some amazing images, and it kind of looks like, you sure they're not sure that Curiosity's not out in the desert somewhere? The Curiosity photos look a lot like Earth, and this could be out on some beach or something somewhere. I know it's not, but some pretty incredible photos here coming down from Curiosity. So they're having a big briefing about it tomorrow on what's going on over there. So that starts at 11:30, I believe, Pacific time. So I'm going to try to catch that before we start our staycation. How many of you started to see campaign ads as you're surfing the net? Well, check this out. Apparently, campaigns are getting ready to start targeting political advertising towards us based upon where we're searching and different things we're doing online. So, but Americans are not happy about this. 86% of Americans said they do not want political advertising tailored to their interest. Somewhat smaller majorities also said they don't want ads for products and services. That was 61%, or news, 56%, tailored to their interests. 85% agreed if they found that Facebook was sending ads for political candidates based on their profile that I had set to private, they would be angry. Just wait, it's coming. More than 3/4 said they wouldn't return to a website if they knew it was sharing information about them with political advertisers. You can be guaranteed most sites are. 70% said 70% of the folks said they would be less likely to vote for a candidate they support if they found out that the campaign was using Facebook to send us ads to friends of that person saying they like that candidate's Facebook page. Now, can you imagine? This show, I'm trying to keep this on the straight and level. And I try to be an equal opportunity basher, conservative, liberal, and any of the type of articles in between. Just like I talk bad about Mac and Apple and good about Mac and Apple. And but can you imagine in your private time you're doing a search and you're following a certain candidate and you're trying to stay impartial and not really bring that political discussion into your Facebook page, which a lot of people do. But would you imagine all of a sudden your friends and let's say you're following me, and all of a sudden you start seeing that I liked a certain candidate? That potentially could really bias things here. It could make it a mess. It really could. So I would be pissed if they started doing that for sure. So political groups were pretty surprised at how the public was reacting. So, but be aware, you might be getting targeted with political advertising. Well, they're targeting with everything else. Why not, right? All right, article over on CNET. 5 ways Windows 8 overhauls the PC. And, I'm going to just have this link up in the show notes. The more and more I see about Windows 8, I don't know, folks. I'm real hesitant to make the switch. The folks at CNET have a really, really good video on Windows 8. And I'm just kind of, there's certain things I'm going to have to try it on a machine that's not prime time because I don't know. I really don't know. They say Windows 8 kills Chrome. I'm like, oh my God, does that really? And it says Windows 8 apps do a great job of getting out of the way of the content they're meant to show, but Windows has these edge things and everything going on. I don't know. And Windows 8 kills your icons. So I'm real hesitant. We'll have to see how this Windows 8 thing works out. And I'll have that link up in the show notes. Those of you that live in areas where there's huge parking issues, BBC is reporting in London that Westminster is putting in sensors. There's basically, you can run a free app which will provide live information about available Westminster parking spaces. It's about to be launched. The other place in the country that does that is here in the United States in San Francisco. So Westminster is the second city to get it. So look forward to seeing how that works out. Just a fantastic article over on Arsenica talking about your car being tracked with the rapid rise of license plate readers. Apparently, all over the country, in a variety of different cities, small and large towns are putting in license plate readers that if you're driving into town through a side street or on main streets, they're taking a picture of your license plate. They're time stamping it. They're running it through a database to see if you've got any outstanding parking tickets, warrants, if the car's stolen, a whole bunch of other things. And if you are, it flags your vehicle. And then through the other cameras in the city, it tracks you down and the police come and arrest you. So talks about one specific city in California called Tiburon, Tiburon. It's a very small but very prestigious town just north of San Francisco. And it basically only has two ways in the city. So they're using it. But it's a good write-up on how the utilization of these license plate readers are working and some of the false alarms and so forth that they're seeing as well. I know we're running long on time, but the ghost story drove us long today. Hey, Apple wanted Authentic. This is a new technology that they've been trying to acquire. So Authentic is basically has the ability, it's a fingerprint reader. And what they want to do is Apple seems to be planning to put 2D fingerprint sensors into their phones or devices. So basically all you do is touch the screen with your fingerprint and it unlocks it. So kind of a cool way for security. So we'll see where this goes. And their purchase of that company, $365 million. Also, this mystery malware is wreaking havoc on energy sector computers. The malware attack that happened to Iran is now backing into other countries. Saudi Arabia and different places like this is a new type of malware. It's not Flame. It's not Stuxnet or Duku or Gauss. But this is a copycat malware that is basically targeting utility computers, and it just wipes them. So there's about 50 systems that have been infected so far. This is a tiny number compared to a worldwide number, but it's got enough people's attention here that they're really aggressively going after it. It's got a mystery payload too, so they don't know what's going on, what's really going to do. Once it owns a machine besides wiping them. It could be doing some other notorious stuff too, but time will tell. But pretty scary. Lights could go out because they wipe the computers that are utility. Or worse yet, think about them viruses getting into like gate control on dams and that kind of stuff. Those of you that are running Android, today you can play Taps because the availability of Adobe's Flash browser plugin has been discontinued on Android. So if you have a website that does not have HTML5 capability on it and you have video, from now on, when Android users visit your website and you're trying to load Flash, tough. It's not going to, except for those of you that still have a Flash player loaded, you're going to be okay. But the latest version of the plugin isn't compatible with Android 4.1 or Google Chrome for Android. So this makes it a non-starter for future Android devices. So those of you that are Flash developers, find a new job immediately. Of course, you guys heard that Julian Assange has been granted asylum by the Ecuadorians. The British police were basically saying they were going to storm the embassy. And that got my eyeball pretty big. What? Because countries just don't go storming other countries' embassies unless they're in Iran or someplace like that where they go in and take people hostage. So I think that was a pretty bold statement made by the UK authorities. But because he's been granted diplomatic immunity, doesn't mean that they're going to be able to get him out. They're going to have to figure out how to sneak him out of the country. And they don't say there's a lot of options. Like, the U.S. embassy is probably pretty big. They get a car in there with a trunk and get him in and probably drive off without anybody knowing about it. But they're talking about, could they get him out via helicopter, or they said once he's in a vehicle, um, he's still safe. But where does he go once he's in a vehicle? So this is going to play out over a long time. I'm sure this is going to be ugly. The Ecuadorians might get sick of him, throw him on the street, let the Brits have him. But his options are still limited, and he may end up still with a ticket to Switzerland to actually stand trial for his alleged crimes. Boy, Apple has been getting a lot of heat over Apple Store employees, and this VP Retail John Broet has been getting a lot of very critical, negative criticism over the past 24 to 36 hours. But Apple is a little bit in damage control mode right now, but they've been doing lots of stuff with laying people off, bringing people in for training, and then cutting them loose. We talked about this a little bit on the last show, but it looks like Apple's being a little bit more in the response mode this time, but there's still a lot of negative going on in the space on what's going on with Apple Store employees. And it looks like Apple might be trying to make that more of a retail experience instead of a Apple Mac experience. They better be careful, because Steve Jobs will get pissed off, and he'll be making a ghost appearance at Apple headquarters. And that's one ghost you wouldn't want mad at you, would you? Based on his leadership style. All right, TechCrunch is talking about the dip in Facebook stock to $19.87 a share today. Lowest closing of the price yet. Of course, today was a lot of the Facebook shares vested. And so people are basically starting to unload their stocks. So 271 million shares become eligible today. And there's a lot more coming eligible over the next weeks or so. So it's going to dilute the stocks as people start unloading them and trying to sell the shares to basically cash in. I think I'd wait. I would roll the dice and wait a few weeks and see how it played out. Hey, I'm looking for some new earbuds. These here are causing me a little bit of trouble. So and these are Sennheiser ones. But I'm trying to find a good deal on saving a little more money. And so if you see anything out there, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Hey, over on Gizmo, if you're not a woodworker, they've got these new Ply 90 brackets. They're pretty expensive, but they're pretty slick in what they do. Oh, the site is not available. How is that possible? Let me try that again. Okay, there we go. So over on Gizmo, these Ply 90 brackets are just little 90-degree brackets that basically can be used to clamp wood. And not hard to use. You can build stuff real easy. All you need to do is just cut the wood in the sizes that you need. You don't need no nails or nothing else. You need a screwdriver. And you can get these connectors. And they're not cheap. 16 of these for $139, 50 for $375. It's pre-order on Kickstarter. You can build dog houses and stuff. I don't know. For that type of price, I think I can use some nails. It's definitely a talkative piece, but they're way, way expensive. They need to send this design over to China and have the Chinese kick these things out by the millions and bring the price down. That's probably what's going to happen anyway, now that they've showed their cards and showed this design. Another start, I've got kids around here that are in a mode right now of scaring the crap out of one another. And I saw something today on Gizmo. I'm really thinking about buying this, folks. This is a creepy Freddy Krueger toilet tank cover. So I'm really thinking about buying one of these and then, putting it on the toilet seat and then put a light up into its head. And when you guys see this, and I got to figure out the time that would be most effective. But, my kids are all into doing this scaring and stuff, but I think it'd be pretty cool to exercise this with my teenagers at this point. A little bit pricey of a prank, but this would be a great scare for a couple of the kids I've got here in the house. Of course, it's kind of you think about the way this thing drapes over the toilet lid and the way the kids' bathroom can get sometime. I don't know. My wife would like flip out because she would make me throw it out after we used it once. And anyway, I'll have the link up in the show notes on that. Last couple articles here. Lifehacker.com, there's a new Pivot Power Mini. I'll have a link up in the show notes on that, and a great way to add a power to your power plug. And also, there's a new plugin out there called Page Eraser, and it hides annoying ads and other content on any web page. And it's kind of like ad block, but it's used with Chrome, so that's available out there. Let me go ahead and check email real quick here before we run out of time. And let's see if I had anything come in. I think it's pretty quiet over the past couple of days. And let's see, the last show was on the 13th. Today is the 16th. And got an email from Near. Say, hey, Todd, just listen to your last podcast. Not sure why you're having problems forwarding to Skype. It usually works great. Otherwise, Google Voice works well too. I'm not having problems forwarding to Skype. It's just not ringing on my iPhone when it does. So I don't know what's going on. If I load the Skype app, I can see it ringing, but it never comes to the forefront and rings. That's the issue I'm having here with the iPhone and the Skype app. Got an email here from Lamar. He says, "Hey Todd, I think that this is in reference to the iPhone. And I've been talking about wanting the new iPhone to be bigger. He says, hey Todd, I think the change will be seen, but having a huge device as a phone is going backwards in my opinion. I'm slightly younger than you, but I use my iPad to read things like email, websites, and Facebook. The fonts on the iPad are better for my eyes. The direction of larger phones, I think, is incorrect. Eventually, I will probably go back to using a regular feature phone or less involved smartphone. I dropped AT&T and currently use Straight Talk. I'm saving money because I'm paying $45 instead of $80 to $100. My iPhone is now unlocked, and I doubt I will purchase the model. Will be way too expensive. Unlocked. Lamar out of Chicago. So, I just, the thing I think is what I want, Lamar, is something in between. And I don't always have my iPad handy when I want to quickly look at something. And I just want a little bigger screen personally. Each person's going to want a little different. We'll see what they do. Got an email here from Tim. He said, hey, Todd, I recently declassified story about one of the largest deep sea salvage operations in history is on space.com. And I'd seen this before, and it talks about this is over on space.com. It's loading ads up. This site drives me crazy. They are like masters of putting ads up. And it talks about the satellite codename Hexagon, basically returning data package to Earth by ejecting a capsule over the Pacific Ocean, and how a capsule's parachute failed, and then basically them going after this thing later on. So I have a link up in the show notes for you to check this out. But amazing what's coming to light these days on what was really going on with Air Force, different types of projects and stuff that's coming to public eye after all these years. Very cool stuff. So thanks for that link. I'll have that up in the show notes for everyone to check out. I think that was it. I think we didn't have too many emails come in. As always, folks, you can call the show here at 619-342-7365. You can email me, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. And, of course, Twitter @geeknews. We're super long. I apologize for the extensive show tonight, but I had to tell you the ghost story, and that took a little bit longer than normal. Hope you enjoyed. Enjoy the weekend. And I know we're going to be staying down in Waikiki. And we're going to have a nice time with my wife's mother, who's last weekend here. She flies out on Monday. But we'll be back with you Monday night for the regular show here. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. And aloha. Okay. Shoo-wee.